October, November 2022. Question 13. Take care.
Thank you.
Question 13. So the question says, okay. In 2020, the Fraser Institute identified Hong Kong as being the closest to a free market economy in the world. This was based on Hong Kong's low tax rates, low government spending, and low level of business regulation. Evaluate the advantage of a free market economy. So the first thing we need to do here is to define what a free market is. And in a free market, resource allocation is done by the price mechanism for demand and supply. So that is why we call it a free market. So individuals and firms actually do the allocation of resources. The allocation of resources is managed by. So that means what to produce, when to what to produce, how to produce, for whom to produce to, is through the price mechanism. I think you understand what a free market is there. Okay. Then what's an economy itself? An economy is a system that is trying to solve the basic economic problem, which is scarcity. I think the point is clear. So we'll go to the advantages of a free market. But based on the case study, they said, well, Hong Kong is closer to becoming a free market based on the fact that there's low tax rate. When there's low tax rate, it means low level of government policy, like fiscal policy. But because tax rate is for fiscal policy, there's fiscal policy for tax rate. We call it fiscal policy for tax rate. And there's low government spending, which is subsidy. So both subsidy and taxes are fiscal policy. We call it fiscal policy. The use of taxation or subsidy to correct or to intervene in the economy or to manipulate the economy. So that one is low. And there's low level of business regulation. That means business affairs, government intervention in business affairs, government intervening in the business affair is lesser. So this makes us to understand that government involvement is minimal. Get the point here. So Hong Kong is closer to a free market because there's minimal government involvement. I think the point is clear there. So now I wrote, Hong Kong can be considered as closer to a free market as it has low tax rate based on the case study, low government spending, and low level of business regulation, which I just explained. So what are the following are the benefits of free market? One, in the free market, there's efficiency. Why do we have efficiency in the free market? We have efficiency in the free market because there's always incentive for firms to make profit. And they already know that in a free market, the competition in a free market is high. So for them to remain relevant, they have to be cost effective. That is where efficiency comes in. Because in as much as they are able to be cost effective, they'll be able to make more profit. So in a free market,
more output, productivity.
Yeah, that is when we go to, when you use productivity, please put the productivity to workers, not to firms. Do you get it? So for firms, the incentive to make profit is there. As a result of that, it increases their efficiency. I think the point is clear. So that's the first point. So I wrote efficiency as firms understand that they can make profit if they are able to keep costs lower. That's the first point. Two, incentive to work harder. This is for employees. Employees understand that they will be able to make more income if they work harder, as taxes are considered low in Hong Kong. Here in Hong Kong, the taxes are low, right? So because there's low taxes, that means there's low income tax, low indirect tax, low corporation tax. So for workers, because they know the income tax is less, so they have the incentive to work more, because the more they work now, the more money they will make. So their income is expected to increase based on the fact that the tax rate is low. So there's incentive to work harder. Do you understand the point there? That's the second point. We're talking about the advantages now. Why is the incentive to work harder become an advantage in the free economy? It's an advantage because productivity will increase.
Yes.
And if productivity increases in an economy, output will increase.
Yes.
As soon as output increases, exports would increase.
You said you cannot, you can only match it.
Yeah, I mentioned workers. I said the incentive to work harder brings about productivity. So when there's increasing productivity, output will now increase. Because workers they don't work for themselves. They work for firms.
Yeah.
So productivity increases output. Output means exports would increase for the economy.
Employees by the government.
Employees, the relationship between employees and government here is that there's low income tax.
Okay.
So a low income tax is an incentive to work harder. Unlike if the income tax is increasing, I would not want to work.
Gain profit.
Yeah, because you're gonna lose a lot of money.
Yeah.
You have to pay tax. No.
If
low
tax,
income tax.
No, we're talking about the other hand now. if tax increases, the incentive to work will be less. I know that when I work, as soon as I work, I get my money, I'm paying so much tax.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to work. Do you get the point here? So low income tax gives incentive for firms or for workers to want to work harder. As a result of that, productivity would increase. Do you get the point now? Then we go on to the third one, more choices for consumers. So in a free market, consumers have more choices. So consumers are better off.
Yeah.
They are better off because there are more choices in the market for them. So I wrote more choices for consumers as they will be able to choose from varieties. How is it possible to choose from varieties? Because there's free, based on the case study, said there's low level of business regulation. Low level of business regulation becomes an incentive for businesses to set up in that economy. So there's no red tape, there's no bureaucracy. So these are reasons, these are motives why businesses would want to increase, why firms would want to set up in Hong Kong. Do you understand the point there? So that's the second point. The fourth one, there's freedom for producers to produce goods that can meet customer needs. As a free market, have less business regulation again. So
the government will not be really looking at you and really
there's no government intervention.
Yeah.
So because there's no government involvement, there's minimal government involvement.
Yeah.
It means we can as well produce whatever goods we think
want.
consumers will buy.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So
we will start looking at customers' needs.
Yes, and that's a freedom for producers.
Yeah.
I think it's clear.
Yeah.
And the next one is profit. Profit made by firms might be used to develop new process, which allows for productivity and efficiency. Now, because in the free market with low taxes, corporation tax would increase for firms, right? Corporation tax would increase. Why? Because profit tax, corporation tax is less, lower tax rate. So a lower tax rate means firms will be able to make more profit. Because they're able to make more profit, they can invest in capital goods like technology. So if they are able to invest in capital goods like technology, it means things will become better and faster.
New technology, new everything.
Yeah, so
which will help businesses be more productive, more efficient.
Yes, and things will become better, faster. Yeah. Efficiency would increase, productivity would increase.
More competition, more everything.
Do you get the point there?
Yes.
Okay. Then, a free market means government failure which can occur through unintended consequence, information gap, etc. can be avoided. With a free market, we won't be talking about government failure. Because if there's government involvement, there could be unintended consequence, which means the situation government is not expecting happens. What they never bargained for happened. Yeah. Unintended consequence, information gap. Government might also be missing out in some information. So without government involvement, we won't be thinking about government failure. Yeah. Do you understand? That's an advantage of a free market too. However, in the free market may not be able to provide public goods or under-provide public goods due to free rider problem. In a free market, it is not expected for them to produce free street lights, road, bridges, and the rest. And if they want to do, they will not provide it, they will under-provide it because of the free rider problem. And who is a free rider? That individual who benefits from what he or she doesn't pay for, right? And remember, the public goods are non-excludable and non-rivalry. So this would not allow private sector to provide it. So in the free market, we might not be seeing public goods. We might not be seeing healthcare. We might not be seeing education. So these are things you should write about. Do you get the point here? So that's the first point. An economy may be best suited if it is a mixed economy, as both private and public sector may be able to allocate resources efficiently. That's another reason why
I will ask a basic economic question: what and how and whom is it produced?
Yes, if the economic questions are asked by both the private sector and the public sector, it means the problems in the private sector will be solved by the public sector, and the problems in the public sector will be solved by the private sector. So another point against, now we're making point against the free market. Another point against the free market is that we could use a mixed economy. So Hong Kong would have been better if it is a mixed economy because it involves both the private sector and the public sector. Yeah. Do you get the point there? The free market, another point against the free market. The free market may bring about inequality, as this may result from the inability of different income groups not being able to afford certain goods or services. In the free market, they produce goods and services for those who can afford it. So if you cannot afford it, then you can't. So this might bring about income inequality. So there might be a gap between the rich and the poor. So those that are rich will be able to consume goods. Those that are poor would not be able to consume it. And this might even lead to unemployment. Do you understand? Do you get it or not?
Yeah.
So another point is lack of government regulation may allow firms to exploit customers through charging a higher price and restricting output. Because there's minimal government involvement, it means the free market or the private sector could exploit, they could charge a higher price. They won't charge a higher price initially, they might restrict output. So goods become scarce. No one is going to tell them not to do that. Goods become scarce, as a result, prices becomes higher. So in the free market, they might exploit customers.
Yeah.
Do you understand that point? The next one, there may be externalities as consumers may lack information, which might have allowed them to behave rationally. As a result, they may overconsume certain products by overestimating the benefit of consumption. Now, we talked about information gap with government failure, right? Now, in a free market, if it's a mixed economy, the information the private sector cannot provide, the government will provide it by maybe through websites, through government spending on advertisement.
Yeah.
Yes or no? But here, the private sector might withhold certain information so that consumers will behave irrationally. Nobody's going, because there's little government regulation. So whatever they do, no one is there to check and balance the affairs of the private sector. As a result of that, consumers might not be aware of the importance or the setback of consuming certain products. As a result of that, they might overconsume because they overestimated the benefit, or underconsume because they underestimated the benefits of that product. And that's a market failure. So in a free market, there's always going to be what? Market failure.
Yeah.
Do you get it? Any question about it? Is it clear now?
Yeah.
Good.
This is, to be honest with you,